I'm at my farm, and I read on Permies all this stuff that Andrew and Mark and the rest posted. So I got my goofy hat on, I was headed home. Let me put it in a different framework from you. I've spent since 2000 knowing that the collapse of growth was coming. I launched something called Edgewit.org. You can look at edu.it to bring about autonomous learning software for the betterment of humanity. There's no reason why I can't get an 8th grade education without teachers, without school, on a smart device. I knew smart devices were coming. And if you do your history on me, you'll see that in 2007, 2008, I actually talked about multi-touch teaching platforms, which basically this is what I'm playing on right now, this iPad, iPhones, all this technology now. And I also talk about how by 2015, these devices will be so cheap that it would be cheaper to give everyone an autonomous teaching device than try to educate them. I spent 9 years trying to raise the funding to basically build out the e-Singularity. I'm the founder of the e-Singularity movement, which I launched in 2007 too. Well, because I spent 9 years from 2000 on trying to launch Edgewit, I realized that the problem was the system. So in 2009, I basically stepped away from Edgewit and I said, you know what, let's look at the startup. So I spent 2 years basically meditating in Japan. I live in rural Japan, as you know, right? There's nothing around here, really. And I figured out that the problem that is stopping innovation, the reason why basically 50% of the stocks in America owned by the 1%, 40% of the country, why is it that the 1% basically are successful and the economic divide is growing? And it's because basically for 5,000 years success has come down to one simple thing: access to capital. You see, in startups, there's something called the lean startup, which means as long as you can pivot and change, you shouldn't fail. You should never fail. So the big joke is that the guy Eric, Eric's what's last name? I can't remember. And all this lean startup movement basically is a message to the 1%, the people with money, is that as long as you fund my startup and I have access to your network and capital, I can't fail. What does it mean for you, and what does it mean for me who lives in, we don't have access to capital networks? What does it mean for 99% of the world, individuals around the world who don't have access to capital? It means you fail. So that took, after 2 years of doing that and then realizing this paradigm, I basically took a step away from OSI last year in 2012. Around spring of 2012, I said, you know what, I'm going to go get bees and be a beekeeper, and I'm going to focus on improving my habitat here. I had no idea about permaculture, never heard of it, and my focus was basically creating a pesticide-free environment and to raise my kids in the best possible life I could. Then, basically 3 months ago, permaculture came along. And it blew my mind because all of a sudden, this collapse of growth, which is far bigger than the event that happened when the dinosaurs wipe out, in my view, it's going to be so massive, it's going to be so destructive that, you know, this to me is basically, you know, ground zero. You know, have this in place for my family and kids. I really believe that within the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to happen on a scale that no one could really grasp. I can't even grasp. It's going to be bad. And no technology, no innovation is going to stop it. However, that changed 3 months ago when I discovered permaculture, and I realized that, you know what? This is the solution, right? Designing your, helping the planet, the philosophy, the tenets of permaculture, even though I changed them, I tweaked them from helping the planet, helping the living systems, and also finally sharing, not just surplus, but sharing the knowledge. Those precepts were written when permaculture was based on agriculture. They need to be changed, okay? And I changed them because permaculture is no longer just agriculture based. So what I realized last night was basically I could use my crowdfunding solution, which is free. There is no free crowdfunding. We're launching a free crowdfunding solution that will allow anyone to raise the little money to attend my farm, your farm, anyone's farm, whoever participates, anyone. We're not gatekeepers. If you research and look at my thing, I am so anti-gatekeepers it's not funny. I hate gatekeepers. Kickstarter, you got to get approved. There's none of that. People decide on OSI which projects go forward and so on. Now, I'm not launching OSI. I'm launching basically the Perma Revolution. PermaRevolution.com is going to be based on using my knowledge and my platform, but it isn't OSI. It's not the mall and everything else. It is using the technology in order to facilitate the launching of permaculture projects all around the world. So anyone can basically learn permaculture, can get their project developed. You know, I've got all this land, but I can't develop it because I'm one guy. But I know 10 people that if I could give you a plane ticket, I bet you'd come here in a heartbeat to come for 20 days and come and help me do this, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm using crowdfunding solution to give anyone who wants it access to people who want to help, access to a plane ticket to go to a place, learn about permaculture from experts. I plan to have experts, and it's going to be fun and everything else, and you know, and make this world a better place. That's it. There's no hidden agenda. There's nothing fishy about it. It's my knowledge that this fucking world's going to crash, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to stop it. And if you can't get that, if you can't grasp that, that's not my problem. That's yours, right? With all respect. You know, because I've been living this paradigm since 2000. You're probably just discovering it now, for all I know. Or maybe you saw it coming, but like a turtle, you've got your old permaculture thing and you're going into it. You know, I'm trying to help the world. And whether you see there's some selfish motive in this, you know, I look at it as my kids. My kids are going to be here. The future generation is going to be here. And if I don't try to do this, no matter how crazy or whatever it is, if I don't try, then I've failed as a human being. That's my personal philosophy. So, you know, my inspirations are Gandhi or Mandela, are individuals that believed in something so vehemently and were able to bring about change. Now, I wish I could even be close to one of them, but all I can do is be my feeble, dyslexic self and, you know, and pummel on. And maybe I wield a sledgehammer a little bit too hard, and maybe people can't grasp my, you know, my visions, but, you know, I don't know, I can't help you there. All I can do is do what I know is right, and that's what I'm doing. Hope that helps.